Welcome back, everyone, to French Polynesia, here for the Billabong Pro Tahiti, the 7th stop of the 2014 Samsung Galaxy ASP World Championship Tour, the last heat in round 1. Jordy Smith, current number 12 in the world, John Florence, current 13, and Kai Otton. And all three surfers known for their abilities at Teahupo'o, but especially John Florence. A lot of expectations on John's shoulder to step up in these heavy conditions when the waves do come through. In terms of battling the likes of John, who has the edge? Kai Otton, Jordy Smith?
Well, you know, I wouldn't say it's a no-brainer, but everyone's eyeballs are on John Florence. He's arguably the favorite in this event. That being said, Jordy Smith and Kai Otton can easily win this heat. Smart competitors, and they're not afraid as well. And great technique in a tube. So this is a pretty square heat.
I have heard, now speaking of afraid, I have heard Jordy Smith, you know, in previous years, unabashed to admit, yeah, I'm completely scared. But you know, it's one of those things. I think all surfers, when you strip that first layer off, as we jump in, barrel to start things off with, and Kai Otton finds a screamer.
And we saw Kai Otton warming up yesterday afternoon with that vest on, the flotation vest. So he's one of those surfers that likes to tick all the boxes in terms of being prepared. And here you see it's first up, first to draw blood in this heat, and that gaping tube ride right there. We heard Pete Mel talk about how the westerly direction that this swell has been taking on, hitting that corner bowl in the reef, really creating those huge clamshell tubes. And Kai Otton off to a quick start.
So best Kai Otton has done here in 2013, 2007, was able to grab a 3rd place finish, but he is known to be very comfortable in heavy conditions. Jordy Smith on his first wave does a good job negotiating that first section, grabs a little rail, and then unable to make it out for Smith. But it looked like for a moment he was starting to float, take that high line, and just got clipped.
Yeah, we'll have to take another look. I'm not sure what happened. Still underwater, just now popping up. And looks like he's okay. And he's going to retrieve his board and head back out there. But yeah, that was kind of funky to see. Here's from the front on angle. A little bit of a glitch on a takeoff, grabbing that rail. Right here, it seemed like he was coming out and got swallowed up by the foam ball inside that tube monster. And what happens is a lot of times when you're drawing a line, waiting to exit the barrel, the floor opens up as he just narrowly misses that buoy.
Jordy Smith, we talked about him being 12th in the world right now, and we brought up the discussion earlier in terms of the quality of surfing he's doing at every stop, where the numbers really don't tell the real story. All the rest of the best that are on the tour right now, they would put Jordy in the discussion of being one of the best surfers on tour. What is it about Jordy that he's not getting the finishes that he needs?
He's in that same category with John Florence. Some of the highlights of the year, some of the most memorable rides we've seen. That doesn't mean you're going to win an event. You have to be consistent. So that's where those guys, Jordy and John, some of the others can improve. You need to peak in the final. It's not about just having that amazing heat in round 1 or 3. You really need to pace yourself and get win after win and go all the way through.
And John Florence, a phenom on all levels, whether it be above the lip, rail to rail. He really, I think, embodies what the next generation, or even the current generation of surfer is, but really represents the future now.
Yeah, and he has that bravado or that vibe where it almost seems like he doesn't care. Sometimes he'll sacrifice a win to go for a huge error. He seems like he can't resist a big fat ramp. If something comes at him, he will boost. If a big wave comes at him, he'll turn around and go. So it's really fun to watch, but he has sacrificed a couple of heats with that.
He's kind of awesomely apathetic at times, and it's one of those things that I think so many people admire. We just witnessed Owen Wright finding a little magic, a low-scoring affair, but nonetheless challenging for all surfers. Let's get an update with Pete Mel.
A heat win is a heat win, that is for sure, but it wasn't from a lack of trying. That first wave, I kind of chatted a little bit, but just give the viewers of what happened on it.
Yeah, just really, I think it was a pretty big set.
Yeah, it was.
It's hard to tell because there's so much water to it. You don't know how high it is, so it felt pretty big, and I was in the spot, I was out far, so I just immediately paddled in. Like, I didn't have to turn or anything, so just went for it, and I thought it was going to be a good one. As soon as I got to my feet and looked up, it was like a straight closeout. Like, the channel was already broken, and I was just like, oh, you're joking. So I just stood in it and was just like, ah. Loving
the
it.
view.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and then enjoyed the pounding afterwards.
And tell me about the pounding. You said that you pulled your leash while you were taking the wipeout.
Yeah, like as soon as I fell off, I knew, like, just because of how much it bent, I kind of thought I'd be doing a lap. So I was underwater and I was just flipping, and then I was down deep, so I just ripped the leash off, and I came straight up because I think the board was pulling me, like the board kept pulling me down. It was weird. It should be pulling me up, but I just ripped it and popped up. It wasn't too bad. It was pretty good. I was pretty psyched.
I love the fact that he says it wasn't too bad. Okay, at the end, you need a 1.77 to take off in that wave, obviously wanting to make it, but once you didn't make it, were you kind of bummed at that point, or did you think you had enough?
I knew it, well, because it's a set wave and I traveled a fair distance, I thought it would be more than the one that I needed, but I was just hoping there wasn't another wave behind. I was kind of spewing it closed out. I didn't make a wave that heat. I kind of tried the big sets, and then I tried a medium one, and it was just a bit crumbly, so I know I tried, but I still won. I'm pretty stoked.
Absolutely. Job well done. Owen Wright's through the second round, or third round. Good job.
Thanks, Pete. And I think it's safe to say we expect a lot more from Owen Wright further down from third round and beyond. He has so much more to deliver at this 2014 Billabong Pro Tahiti.
I love to hear that demeanor he has. He has the makings of a big wave surfer. He really does. How he just took that wipeout in stride and actually seemed like he kind of enjoyed it, which is odd, but that's that's the attitude you need in serious surf.
Just a perfect amount of masochism. And we're talking about in terms of the right quiver for Tahiti as we check in with Kai Otton, his board schematics. Taking a closer look. And there's that volume 31 for Kai Otton, Channel Islands Proton.
Yeah, so you can see there again, 6'8". That's in today's terms, that's a big surfboard. So that shows you how serious these waves are, and basically the volume, the thickness, the length of these surfboards. It's all about getting that momentum down the face. That's what they're worried about. They want to pick the right line and be able to tuck in underneath that lip. So there's a fine line between having enough volume to paddle and also a little amount of surfboard so it doesn't hinder you while you're trying to tuck in before that lip line folds over.
So Kai Otton on the board with a 3.17, Jordy Smith a 1.33, and John Florence with priority yet to grab his first wave with under 26 minutes in Heat 12, Round 1. As we look at Kai Otton, he'll find a second wave. Immediately finds a little tube, stays high. So a quick barrel for Kai Otton, trying to stack up the scores, and out the back. John Florence finds his first wave, instantly stalls it up, gets a little bit more vertical on that, and a quick grab, and he's out.
You got a really good glimpse there of how good John is at positioning himself.
And another wave as Jordy Smith stalls it up beautifully, takes that high line, and he'll glide out. So 3 waves back to back for all 3 surfers. John, rather quick one, same with Jordy and Kai, but some good components to each wave.
Yeah, I can't say enough at how important it is to pick the right spot to take off. That really is 80% of the ride out here. There's definitely some surfing going on the wave, but where you choose your line to drop in is where you're going to get the points. You can see Kai Otton here on his front side. He's a goofy footer, right foot forwards, pretty quick little barrel there. Just the first wave of that set, I think he didn't have priority, so the other guys waited for the better wave. And a little less water on the reef here. Look how much more hollow this wave is. And John picking that perfect line. You saw him let go of the rail and then actually grab it again. So much control and skill in the tube.
And then right behind him, Jordy Smith taking advantage of this set.
Again, I mentioned 80% of the ride is where you take off. Jordy Smith just a little too far on the shoulder, and that's why he wasn't able to get a long tube ride. So again, I can't say enough how important it is to position yourself in the perfect spot to get the maximum tube ride.
In terms of all the skill sets that's needed to be on the CT, when you watch someone like John Florence in the barrel and the comfort factor, the way that he can jump on rail, stand up, relax, and the type of adjustments, where would you rate that type of skill set, how difficult it is to attain?
It's kind of weird because a lot of these surfers that are, there's not many of them, the few surfers that toy with barrels, they're almost born with it.
And it looks like Kai Otton will find another wave a little late, and he'll go down on his back and takes the lip. Hopefully not on his chest there, was able, hopefully trying to pierce the water.
That was easily the most awkward wipeout we've seen today. It's rare to see one of these surfers, you know, fall when it's not their choice. He got on his heel edge there and couldn't recover, so it looks like he's fine. Maybe he hit the bottom there. It looked like he was holding his hand, but you know, when he got all his weight on his heel edge, it seemed like he couldn't recover and he fell over.
Well, obviously getting in early is key here, and it looked like he just wouldn't let him in, and by the time that he made it in was off balance, but I'm going to say very lucky. I mean, had it been maybe a split second before and that lip came down on his chest, it'd be a different story.
He's on his forehand, a goofy footer, so normally he's looking to put that weight on his toes. You can see once it shifted to his heels, it was all over. That lip actually exploded on his chest, so horrendous wipeout.
So Kai Otton will make his way back out. Kai Otton looking for a 3.24. You can see him on the ski, making his way around.
I'm not sure if he's coming in or not. He is looking at his hand again, so hopefully he didn't connect too hard with the bottom.
And we've seen this past couple hours, the swell starting to show signs of an uptick in intensity. And Kai Otton hopefully
yeah, he
not
looks
connecting with the reef there.
He looks fine to me. This is what they do. They're in that lagoon. It's too shallow right now, Pat, with the low tide. They actually can't make a straight line back out. They have to go around the lagoon where there's an actual channel made here for the boats. And now that he's going to swing around, that's almost like a harbor entrance, and he'll tuck right back out there in a matter of less than a minute.
So those of you keeping track of the scores, you can see how much water. It's literally a river riptide flowing off the big slab of reef there. John Florence on top with that 7. Yet to get his second wave. Jordy Smith finds another one, hits the e-brake, stalls up, stands up, and a quick kick out.
Better line for Jordy there. He was right in the spot, nice and deep, and a big one for John.
A monster out the back. John Florence cannot get in, but watch this thing unload.
A little surprising, he just was not in the spot. That wave, you know, was easily small enough for John to navigate through. But if you're not far out enough, if you don't give yourself enough time to get underneath it and slide down the face, you're simply just not going to make the drop. So a smart decision there from John.
So it is on at the Billabong Pro Tahiti as even more sets. Quick spit there. John Florence still with priority, yet to grab a second wave. Score starting to drop for Jordy Smith, as Jordy Smith, by virtue of that last wave, a 5 and a 3.57, will jump up to the top. Looking back on Jordy's wave,
you can see perfect line for him. Now all he has to do is let go of the rail and stand tall and proud. So a great tube there for Jordy. Just a 5-point ride, but one of the best feelings in the world for a 5.
Oh, just making it out and pulling in. Can he make it out? Lots of distance. He does. John Florence strings together what seemed like an impossible line there in the end. Came through a very tight section.
Well, every now and then you'll have a performer where it just makes you say the word ridiculous. You know, he didn't grab his rail. He bottom turned. Look how deep he is. Crazy how he maneuvered through that whitewash ball as if, you know, he was taking a stroll in the park. So extremely difficult tube ride that he made look way too easy.
I could watch that a couple times. No hand on the adjustment on the bottom turn to set up, and he might have just touched the rail, but then literally hands-free backside barrel riding from John Florence. Sitting on a 7, we expect a good score on that last wave. Kai Otton needing a 4.81. And John now back on top with the 6.53 under 20 minutes, 19.5 on the clock. Priority going with Jordy Smith.
John, you know, you could use the word flagrant. He definitely toys with this wave. It's sort of like Muhammad Ali when he would box. He would just you know, mess around almost. He has so much skill and control that he has a couple extra notches above the rest of the field.
So with John, it's like a kitten with a ball of yarn, and with some surfers, it's a mouse with a mouse trap. A little different approach to the wave here.
It's amazing, you know, and his intuition to up the level with that wave, knowing that it wasn't a big one. He definitely maximized the score, you know, by toying with that wave, not grabbing the rail. You know, he made something special out of a wave that, quite frankly, wasn't, you know, a huge barrel.
And really, when you watch highlight reels of John Florence surfing a place like Teahupo'o, he really makes you forget just how dangerous this wave is. That's, I think, one of the biggest things you can take from his ability and level of surfing at a place like this.
It's exactly right. And he does the same thing at Pipeline, another wave that's so difficult to sit in the right spot, to make the drop, to maximize the barrel. So this is the kind of training that John has gone through as a child, you know, and it's created this surfer that we're watching right before us. You know, he really is toying with these conditions.
With John Florence, we were talking about the expectations of him to do a little bit better in this 2014 season. He's a favorite, whether you're talking films or competition. Everyone always wants to see John have success. He's struggled a little bit. He did have success at Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach, got a 3rd place finish there, and then a 5th in Rio. But it's really a few of the waves that we thought he would really rise up. Places like Fiji and J Bay. Interesting stops for John with 2/13s.
Yeah, J Bay, I feel like is a spot that John can improve on. He has in the last couple years. I feel like his carving is not his strength, but he's improved a lot. He's obviously one of the best surfers in the world at doing aerials. So a lot of people put him in the mix for beach breaks or places like lowers. Fiji was just a bit of a bummer for him for how small it was.
Jordy Smith with priority, glides into it instantly on rail, gets stalled up nicely, a quick cover up, and he'll kick out. Not a lot of depth on that barrel, but good textbook style, and right behind it, a thick one. John Florence wants it. Makes the drop, no problem. Vertical stance, and he'll calmly kick out. Unbelievable performance so far from John Florence.
Wow, that wave regurgitated all over him. John making that incredibly steep drop. You could see he grabbed his rail to make sure he slid down the face and didn't lose control. Meanwhile, Jordy Smith picked up another, you know, sort of a smaller wave. So right now it looks like it's the Florence show.
John Florence, prior to dropping in on that, was sitting on a 7 and a 6.53. Jordy Smith needed an 8.53, and Kai Otton needed a 9.76. And priority sitting with Kai Otton, 16 minutes on the clock. And as anticipated, John Florence decided to show up.
Watch the bottom of this wave completely drop out from under him, and he manhandles it, grabs that outer rail to keep the surfboard under his feet. Everything is trying to make that board fly out from under him, and he held on nicely. Not the longest, deepest tube ride ever, but just to make the drop on that beast was a big deal. So look at this from the front on view. His board disconnecting, actually getting air under his fins. Now he'll re-engage. Watch him pull on that outside rail, tucking himself under the lip. If he doesn't do that, folks, that lip's gonna land square in his head. Now he stands tall and proud as that wave completely yaks all over him. Incredible 3 seconds right there. I mean, these waves are so fast. It's about as much excitement as you can handle in 3 or 4 seconds.
So the Hawaiian John Florence looking so comfortable right now in round 1 competition up against Jordy Smith and Kai Otton, trying to take the fast track to round 3. Best 2 waves count. Winner moves directly to round 3. It's the 2nd and 3rd place finisher that are forced to go to the 2nd round, an elimination round. So if John Florence stays on track, he can find himself directly into round 3. However, it is not over. We've seen some amazing back and forth in these last few heats. As scores starting to drop for John Florence, the judges gobbling up that last drop, an 8.83, highly technical, as you pointed out, and now the situation for Jordy Smith and Kai Otton got that much more dire. Combination situation for both other surfers.
Oof, almost speechless, you know. And the funny thing is, John has a lot left in the tank. I bet you could argue he's even unsatisfied out there in the water. He wants to get a long, thick, deep barrel. Keep in mind, Jordy Smith, Kai Otton, amazing surfers. They have what it takes to get 10-point rides.
Kai Otton late on the drop, able to stick it. He stays with it. And a clean drop, a little loose on the dismount, but how about that drop? Fins just caught at the last second. He was able to navigate it and then find his way down the line.
Tail wagging. You could see Kai Otton sticking his tongue out there. He is so happy. Look at that energy he has, stroking back out to the lineup. And watch this drop. Another nice set wave here. It's going to drop out underneath him, reconnects, pulls under the hood. That's almost as deep as you can get in that barrel. And when he comes up after that kick out right there, he was so happy. Great to see. Look at that drop. Falling from the sky. Now he's going to re-engage that rail, poking the nose just for a second. It actually slowed him down, which was a good thing, because it got him behind this curtain right here, and he stands tall. That's what's cool about being on your front side out here. The goofy footers with their right foot forward, they're constantly standing up. They're not grabbing the rail like the backsiders are, and that looks pretty nice when you're standing tall in these tubes.
Well, scores dropping for Kai Otton, and it is a 9.57. 9.57 for Kai Otton. Now he only needs a 6.26, and I say only, definitely betters his situation out of the combo situation. Jordy Smith, however, still comboed. An incredible wave. Let's get some more insight as we check in with Ronnie Blakey, Strider, and Aki, guys.
Cheers, Pat. On paper, we said that this looked like being the best heat of the first round. A lot of the time, those kind of heats don't live up to expectation, but this one is certainly delivering. An amazing exchange there from John and Kai Otton.
Yeah, this has been incredible. I mean, these guys are getting like the drop, just looking over the edge of those waves, and what they have to look at, they're literally disconnecting completely and then reconnecting and having to set the rail. And then, you know, John on his backside and Kai on his front side, both of them doing amazing jobs. Look at this, Ak.
Aki, what you're loving is the fact that the judges are really rewarding the commitment, these big takeoffs. They're scoring these guys for charging.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. You know, I mean, we had... Look at that from John, just a beautiful big drop. Didn't get totally deep, but that's what they're rewarding charging. This whole event is going to be about charging. Look at Kai just on a wave, not dissimilar to John's, but he gets a lot deeper. Look at him, he nice big bottom hand turn and just sets himself up so deep. He's obviously going to come flying out of this one. But I just might touch on Owen's heat. You know, he got scored for charging. He didn't make a wave. I've never seen it before. A guy not making a wave and winning the heat. Bede might have had something to say about that, but he didn't have a backup. But Owen, right, you know, for the first time I've seen someone get through by just charging, didn't make a wave.
Big numbers dropping. Jordy Smith now trying to get himself into this heat, the last heat of the first round. We'll throw it back to you guys.
Thanks, guys. Wow, yeah, we just witnessed Jordy Smith. He's getting hungry, a bit scrappy, and you saw the size of that foam ball. That was a massive monster. Completely committed on that. Oh. Jordy Smith, and takes another one on the head. Water Patrol having to exit. They were
big set here, Pat.
And right behind that, Jordy Smith will have to take another wave on the head.
That's a serious situation there. Jordy, you can see him waving his hand. That ski needs to get to him. Right here, the guy behind is going to grab him, and he's jumping on. So great save there from our water safety as one of the biggest sets of the day unloads on the inside.
Great job by the Tahitian Water Patrol getting Jordy Smith out of harm's way on that. You saw just how much water was moving through, and Jordy Smith ditching the board. Unbelievable amount of power. Look at how much whitewater now is moving through the section right now.
Horrible timing there for Jordy to pick up the first wave of one of the biggest sets. You know, it's one of those situations you hate to be in as a surfer. Lucky enough for him, he's in a contest. There's jet ski assistance, there's water safety. He got nabbed in seconds, so no harm, no foul. He'll take a ride through the lagoon and back out.
Even with all the support, and you take a wave like that on the head.
That is harnessing so much power. Keep in mind, Jordy's wearing that on the head. it's hard to explain to you, you know, watching on your television set at home or on your computers, how much power and how crazy the energy that's being produced with this swell on this shallow bit of reef. It really does look like you're staring up at Niagara Falls. Just the fact that these guys are trying to, you know, slide down these faces and pull into these barrels, it really is something else.
And something that you really can't tell is the depth of water, even where those jet skis are riding. And this whitewater line coming through right now in front of your screen is about 1 foot to 2 feet deep. So it's unbelievable that they can navigate their way out of it. A heavy, heavy heat, the final heat of round 1. We anticipate going into round 2. Still John Florence on top. Can Kai Otton and Jordy Smith climb back? We'll find out when we return to the Billabong Pro Tahiti right after this. A volatile day here at the Billabong Pro Tahiti. Round 1 action continues with John Florence on top. Kai Otton trying to climb his way back with a 6.26. That's all he needs. But Jordy Smith just took an amazing amount of water on the head, trying to work his way out of a combo situation. Still time on the clock, 6.5 to go. Winner of this heat will advance directly to round 3, second and third place finisher on to round 2. And some ugly ones starting to move through, Ross, and really starting to see the force and the potential of this swell unload.
I can see another pickup there on the inside, John Florence. So our water safety is working overtime today, and this swell is really filling in this afternoon.
This was while we were away, John Florence.
Swinging around nice and late here, grabbing that rail, and there he's gonna stand tall way too deep in that barrel. What happens when you're that deep in that barrel, basically the floor of the barrel that you're surfing on opens up and you fall through the floor straight to the bottom. It is one of the worst feelings as a surfer to be in a barrel and the floor opens up and you fall. You just hope you don't connect with the bottom. There's no progressing, there's no momentum going forward. You just fall straight through.
And out the back, more barrel time, and with that, Kai Otton looking for a 6.26. Gets a lot of shade, a lot of cover, and grabs some good distance on that for good measure. Only needed a 6.26.
Well, this, could be an upset in the making right now. Kai Otton has something to say, and with John relegated to taking a ride around the lagoon, he's going to have some precious time tick away. Here you can see nice and deep right there, actually, too. So this is going to be a good score for Kai, and he likes it. Pretty sweet claim there for Kai, and not a large wave, but nonetheless navigating nicely through that tube. You can see that onshore breeze, just enough crumble to make these tubes kind of technical, but it makes it exciting.
And let's just refresh the memories of our viewers. I mean, the beating that Kai took earlier, to come back from that, get everything recalibrated and get back in that charge zone. That is something that you have to be so mentally fierce.
Each and every one of them, if you think about this, think back on this heat, every single one of these guys, Jordy, John, Kai, they have all taken some serious lickings in this heat. So the conditions have definitely turned up a notch.
Teahupo'o, the winner of the trials event, up against Joel Parkinson, former finalist here and former world champ. And we anticipate very, very intense round 2 action as the swell continues to build, putting all surfers on edge, on alert, and we're seeing amazing back and forth. Jordy Smith still in that combo situation. Now John Florence needs a 9.42 as Kai Otton, the score dropped for that last wave, an 8.67.
Wow, big score there for Kai. So you'd think 9.42, almost unattainable for John, but guess what? You know, he's one of the best in the world at sneaking under the lip out here at Teahupo'o, so this heat is far from over.
You talk about Kai Otton, you were mentioning it would be an upset. Obviously, John Florence, the favorite, but there's a lot of fans, a lot of Kai Otton fans out there that know what Kai Otton is capable of. When it comes to heavy situations, he really has, you know, no problems committing to, you know, very heavy barrels.
Proven competitor.
Yeah.
You know, he's had many great results out here in heavy stuff, at Pipeline and Teahupo'o, as well as Fiji. So, you know, as I mentioned, you know, we at the top of the heat, we talked about John. Sure, he's the favorite, but guess what? Kai and Jordy are great surfers, and they can definitely get the job done. And then there you go. Kai Otton's found himself in the lead. Kai
Otton on top. Now John Florence needs a virtual perfect score, a 9.42. I mean, up to that point, we thought John Florence was owning this competition, and here comes Kai Otton. Otts just quietly working his rhythm up, had some problems early on in the heat, and then threw down the 9.57, a veritable 10, an 8.67 on that last wave. So now priority sits with Jordy Smith. He's in a combo situation. Not enough time to climb out of that, but John Florence, if he finds a bomb, he could grab that 9.42. It's not officially over for John.
Well, you know, Jordy could if he grabs a huge score right away, maybe. But I agree that window is definitely closing. Kai Otton, you know, he is a fiery competitor. I'm actually not too surprised to see him winning this heat. Obviously, he charges. We all know that. But he's also got a ton of skill. He knows how to navigate through these thick, heavy barrels. So. You know, one of the more fiery competitors on tour. You knew he was going to bring it today.
Well, down to the last 2 minutes. The good news for the second and third place finisher, they will have a chance in the second round. That is the elimination round. However, the winner gets to take that jump to the third round of competition. A little bit of a rest, so to speak, as we'll continue into round 2.
John's just sick enough to maybe be happy to have an extra round out here at Teahupo'o, so maybe he's thinking, hey, you know what, I get to surf one more time with one other soul out at Teahupo'o, so who knows what he's thinking.
Shockingly, you're probably right. I mean, that's I mean, his mindset is a tough thing to figure out, but he loves surfing more than anything, and he loves surfing these type of waves. All right, let's check in with Peter Mel, who's with Commissioner Kieran Perot. Pete?
Yeah, here with the Commissioner, and we are definitely going into round 2. In that decision, you know, how many heats are we going to be running, and what were your thoughts? I know that Parko came up and talked to you a little bit, and maybe trying to swing a little extra time there, but we're going to go right through?
Yeah, definitely. We just were looking at the heat before this one, actually, when the conditions kind of started to get a little ruffled. That wind felt like it was coming around. It's backed off a little now, and hopefully the angle just improves through the afternoon. When the waves come, they're just unbelievable. The wind's not really affecting the barrel. It's so hollow and draining so much water off the reef. So we definitely go straight into round 2, and we'll be aiming to finish 4 heats.
There you have it, 4 heats.
Thanks, Pete. Good news for surf fans worldwide. 4 more heats of round 2 action, and as we keep mentioning, so much swell on tap throughout the week. So it is going to be a legendary 2014 Billabong Pro Tahiti. In the water right now, Kai Otton, John Florence, and Jordy Smith. Jordy Smith remains in that combo situation the last 20 seconds. And unfortunately for John, after showing such promise early on in this heat, we'll count it down 10 seconds. Not enough time, but what a performance, blistering performance by Otts. Kai Otton, 9.57, 8.67. Some of the best scores we've seen all day. Stay close when we come back. Round 2 here from the Billabong Pro Tahiti. Joe Trappell and '89 world champ Martin Potter take to the booth.